We're in 2025. We're a different era from the scandals of the sort of 60s. But I don't know. You would like to think so. And folks are, well, why is that? That means that it's down to somebody's sexual preferences. But you've got to be very careful when you are the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom and who you have any sort of relationships, never mind sexual relationships with. And I would suggest having potentially scurrilous accusation or not sexual relationships with young men who are of foreign bodies, then yeah, that's kind of dangerous. That can't be allowed. But we live in 2025, and I made this claim with the Southport thing that after a few days of Southport being a bit mental, right, and people going, well, what's going on here, and try to fill the dots, join the dots. There was some people saying, well, when it gets to court, all the truth will come out. And I said then, no, it won't. Well, this won't reach court. This will not reach court because you're right. There'll be details of other things that could come out as a defence or, possibly the prosecution that other people might not want to be made public. And I see this case identical. I think this case getting to a trial and jury, I can't see that happening because it will not be in the public's interest, we'll be told. And I would be shocked and stunned. I would be willing to put good money at William Hill's that this will not go to a full trial because it could be damning. But you would then need to, the prosecution need to prove motive, and that could be pretty smelly. So no, I think that's where this will head. This will either. I think again it would be difficult at this time with the amount of public awareness to have no trial, and certainly two men already appeared at court for sort of pre-trial hearings would suggest that's where it's going. But I'd be shocked and stunned if this got to a full trial without somebody just taking the heat for it and taking a guilty plea.
Yeah, the fact that these properties were hit suggests perhaps that because we got this theory that maybe somebody has put these guys up to it to bring Starmer down, then what I'm thinking is they knew it would be forced into the public by lighting these properties, because emergency crews would have to be called right away to put the fires out, and it would be documented right away in the local media. So they didn't have a chance to suppress it right away as soon as it happened. They were forced to let the public, see some of the story, but kind of suppress the bigger picture. And one of the things Linda's asking here is, how did they find these three boys so quickly? And we don't know that information, do we? I would imagine these days it's all through the internet, the devices, isn't it? Tracking them through devices.
Yeah, you would think that area, it's a heavily populated area. I know at least the house, where it is. I've been there myself. I've been in that area. I worked in London for a while. I actually worked in Sydenham, which is where one of the accused is apparently living. And it's a heavy populated area. And the advent of these ring doorbells, almost every 100 yards you would have one of those. So I wouldn't have thought anybody committing any crime round about that area is going to be that difficult to track down, to be honest with you. And you've got CCTV. That reminds me, I done a video 6 months ago, and Russell Brand ended up talking about it in his show, where there was some attack on Westminster Bridge, and I wanted a backdrop for my thumbnail. I thought, well, I'll just go into CCTV, because I've got them webcams everywhere across every big city, and I'll get one that's shooting across Westminster with Parliament in the background. And every single webcam in London was off air. And that was really peculiar. And as I say, Russell Brand started talking about that in one of his podcasts, and my video went a wee bit viral. I think a couple hundred, which is a lot for me, a couple of 100,000. So these weird things have happened with webcams. But yeah, I kind of think if you want to find a bad person, there'll be loads of footage about somewhere.
Yeah, so it's just come out in the Times and a few other places as well about Petro, the third man's name, Petro, Pock,
I know.
Pocky Knock. Pockinock. So the third
But
Ukrainian
aye.
charge in the arson conspiracy into the Starmer-linked properties has been named Petro Pockinock, 34,
Yeah.
has been charged with conspiring with Roman and Stanislav and others. So there are more coming.
Oh,
Others
God.
unknown, they're being called presently, others unknown, to damage by fire property belonging to another, intending to damage the property, intending to endanger the life of another, or being reckless as to whether the life of another was thereby endangered. Pockinock was arrested on Monday in the Chelsea area on suspicion of to commit arson with intent to endanger life. Shortly before 10 a.m. on Wednesday, that's today, he was driven to Westminster's Magistrates Court in an unmarked police van under police escort. So that's just happened, I guess. The 34-year-old appeared in the glass-fronted dock in court number 2 at Westminster Magistrate wearing an Alvin Stardust, I'm just joking, wearing a grey prison-issue tracksuit with his hair blow-dried like Gary. joking, folks. Speaking through an interpreter, he spoke only to confirm his name, address, and date of birth. As part of the same investigation, Roman is charged with 3 counts. He appeared on May 16th. Stanislav has been charged. He appeared on Tuesday at the Old Bailey. And the trio's charges all relate to a series of fires at the properties linked to Keir Starmer between mid-April and early May this year. Wow.
See the Pockinock bit, Shaun, I know we spoke about it off air. I don't think we spoke about it since we hit live. I went and Googled. I think I found him. I think I found him on LinkedIn, right? But and then I was like, Pockinock, where's that name come from? So I put in the meaning or the origins of Pockinock, right? And I found out, and I'm going to read verbatim, the surname came from the nickname Pockinock. In the Ukrainian language, Pockinock means yarn wound round a spindle. And you go, well, we say spinning a yarn, right? And you think, is this whole thing made up? Is this somebody's total best bammer, pisty, whatever it is you want to call it? When the guy that's just been charged, his name loosely translates to spinning a yarn. And you're like, it's Austin Powers, mate. We're living in an Austin Powers script.
This is what we're saying. They're just doing it in our faces now. Just absolute taking the piss. It's like,
yeah, it's bonkers.
Just when you think it can't get any weirder, it just gets weirder and weirder. Pockinock.
Aye, spinning a yarn or a yarn round a spin. You're like, I don't know, man. I recognise that phrase, right? Oh, I don't know, man. Honestly, see if the fourth one comes in the silver platform boots singing, come on, I'm out. I'm retiring.
So, someone said that Katie Hopkins is reporting on this now. Good for Katie. We're trying to get Katie on later in the year. She went on my friend Andrew Gold's channel, and we are in talks with her. And but people have seen echoes of the Profumo scandal. I'll just read what happened with the Profumo scandal. This was a major political crisis in 1963, centered on John Profumo, the Secretary of State for War. He had an affair with the model Christine Keir. The scandal erupted when Keir was also involved with Yevgeny Ivanov, a Soviet naval attaché, raising concerns about national security. Keir was also involved. So in the House of Commons, Profumo initially denied any improper conduct, but later admitted having lied. The scandal led to Profumo's resignation from the Conservative government of Harold Macmillan. The affair severely damaged the reputation of the Conservative government, which was already facing other challenges. And then Stephen Ward, a socialite who introduced Keir to Profumo, was arrested and charged with living off ladies of the night and procuring. His trial was later viewed as a miscarriage of justice. Wow. What do you make of that?
Yeah, and what you've got, the difference with this possible case, because at the end of the day, they might have fell out over a window cleaning bill or something, right? It might not be sexual, right? Anyway, let's consider that it is for a second. with the Profumo case, there was 3 parties involved, because and the link was the model to the the current high-ranking government official to a foreign state. Well, every single person arrested here is from a foreign state, so it's potentially even more concerning that the Profumo affair needed that middle person to squeal. But if this one, and as other people, naughty bad people out there are alleging there might be a connection, a sexual connection in this case, then you don't need that middle person. You're straight to a foreign agent is probably the nicest way of doing it.
Hey, Jody in the chat. The Nino video that was taken down, it's coming after this. I've got it scheduled for 1:15 p.m. So I went on a big channel last night exposing the network, the video that's coming at 1:15. It's called the Diddy Clinton Savile Network, and how they swallowed Justin Bieber's soul. It was taken down rapidly, but it's coming at 1:15. So stay tuned for that. And we've got a question from Hazel, and we've got almost 2,500 watching now across all platforms. Please subscribe to Craig. Link in the live chat again. There you go for his channel. Hazel's got a good question here, because it was you, Craig, who put Lord Ali on my radar with one of your first videos.
Yeah, again, that was just something. Sorry.
I'll read this question from Hazel. Do you think it might be possible, hypothetically, if these young men were seen going to and from Lord Ali's property during lockdown, may have been someone other than Starmer's son? What's the connection with Lord? Let's go with the connection with Lord Ali.
Yeah, that started, and it was a rumour, and I was quite open with that when I was talking about it. I said, look, this is a rumour that might be a wild rumour, it might not be, but there's been a suggestion made that this connected property Starmer might be owned by Ali. So that was kind of that, right? But somebody came into my video today when we were talking about this new guy who buys, sells, and hires out posh clothes, said, and I'm not thinking this is possible, it was just humorous, the suggestion that these guys, the third guy, the 34-year-old that's into selling and renting out posh clothes, might be the guy that got the clothes for Ali to give to Starmer. And I thought, well, that would be really funny. I don't think that's true, but yeah, and Lord Ali, who is, and to 2025, he's a homosexual. But the odd thing about Ali was Ali won. This is a guy nobody'd heard of, by the way, until Keir Starmer became the Prime Minister. And he was voted by Stonewall organisation as the politician of the decade, nonetheless. So what he's done behind the scenes for an organisation that's not really bothered about gay rights anymore, because they got that all sorted, and well done for doing so. But now that their current driver is trans issues, that they would suddenly vote this guy, Lord Ali, as the politician of the decade. So he must have done quite a lot for their causes, or he wouldn't have got such an accolade. So I think any connections to him with this case would be outrageous.
So if you've just tuned in, folks, and something's just happened, because 1,000 people just got knocked off the stream. Something weird's going on with this one now. If you've just tuned in, we are with Craig, who broke the news on YouTube about these suspicious characters allegedly attacking the Prime Minister's properties. And we thought we were going to be made fools of. But as you can see on the screen now, that is the picture of the second alleged attacker. That is the picture of him. This is the BBC, folks. This isn't us just putting this up there and having a laugh. This is the BBC now. And we are waiting for the picture of the third alleged attacker. And there are supposedly more unnamed attackers pending. So that's what we've been talking about so far. Now, we did have a few other subjects we were going to touch on. And if you want to see the latest reporting, please go to Craig's channel. I'm going to put the link in the live chat again. There it is. If you've got bumped off my stream, just refresh your screen, press my channel icon. It should bring you back on, because that is happening a lot. Let me know in the chat if you just got bumped off, because it fell almost Looks like it fell almost 1,000. Let's see. Shaun, you mentioned yesterday that not many are daring to put up vids on YouTube. There's loads of story I watched them last night. Isn't going away anytime soon. Yes, Georgina. Apparently, Katie Hopkins is on the case now, and you know, we're not knocking anyone's sexuality here. We've had guests of all sexualities on this channel. We've had some really hard-hitting stories from trans prisoners, etc., in prison, who cut off their own man parts. Really hard-hitting stuff. And but it is of the public interest when trillions, billions of UK taxpayers' money is getting funneled to a war so that Ukraine can keep the meat grinder going. Over 1 million dead. It's absolutely disgusting. You've got BlackRock and these globalist interests that Keir Starmer represents carving Ukraine up. And he's got us taxpayers footing the bill for it while they make all their profits. It's absolutely disgusting. And now these attacks come out and all these kids are Ukrainians. It is damn well right. It is of the public interest to get to the bottom of this, because it's extremely suspicious, and I can't understand why it's not all over. This should be the breaking news, top of the hour, every hour on all of the mainstream channels, as far as I'm concerned. When that much money's being spent and Donald Trump's trying to stop it, you know, something's not right. So, you know, there was a couple of other stories we were going to talk about, and this poor woman, Craig, Lucy Connolly, what the hell's going on there?
Yeah, and the more I find out about this case, the more concerned I am about it. Someone suggested yesterday, I do a lot of these X spaces, which for anybody who is on X that hasn't been into them, you should try and find some happy homes in these places. They're good. And we were discussing this last night, and someone asked the question, said, look, she put the tweet out, which was, I don't think anybody will defend the tweet. It was an ill-advised tweet, and it said some pretty silly things, right? But she took it down and put up an apology and then got a door chat to the police. And somebody said, well, how many people seen it before she took it down? And there was a suggestion that it was the grand total of 26. And you're thinking, what? How does that translate into a 31-month prison sentence? That's just bonkers. And there's been other suggestions that she took a deal and just promised.
They just got paid informants now, scanning the internet to snitch people out, or is it cops doing it?
Well,
I mean,